War is immoral. Poverty is immoral. Racism is immoral. Police brutality is immoral. Oppression is immoral. Genocide is immoral. Imperialism is immoral. This country represents all those things. All those things. All those things. All those things.
Imagine living in a space the size of a standard elevator for 10 years straight alone. This week's guest, now free, was incarcerated for being an anti-fascist, an early sign of what's happening and what's still to come. This is Awkward, and this is your global warning. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and superfan it for exclusive extras. And if you buy a GW shirt, you get an on-air and a social media shout-out, plus 25% goes to One People's Project, a charitable org committed to fighting fascism. Usually I'll go live on Fridays, drop the interview on Friday, but this is Halloween week, so live Wednesday, interview out Thursday. This week's guest on the Global Warning Show is Eric King, a vegan anarchist, anti-fascist activist who was imprisoned in 2014 for acts of solidarity with the Ferguson uprising. He threw a Molotov cocktail at an empty congressional building and spent a decade in a 6x9 cell with virtually no connection to the outside world. For the next 15 minutes, we'll be discussing why he got that treatment, the nature of his work outside and inside the walls, and what the future holds for him and us. So Eric, thank you for joining me. I know everyone wants to hear about what you did, your arrest, your time behind bars. I usually wouldn't even ask about that, but your case was and is so public that I will. But let's start with who you are. What does it mean to be an anarchist? And from that perspective, give me the state of the state today and how that relates to movements across the globe.
To me, firstly, good to see you. To me, being an anarchist means that I believe in a world without hierarchical structures, to where we can develop our own communities, our own ways of living without being above or below anyone else. A world without domination. And where's the state of the world today? Bad. Things don't look good. Like on the micro level, things have never looked more beautiful with all the mutual aid groups I see and solidarity and like community coming together. On the macro level, it's terrifying, and it looks like it just looks like a snowball of hell just coming down on everybody. And I say that from a place of immense privilege.
Well said, all of that. So before we get into anarchy a tiny bit, did you see this coming? Did your past experience, your time away? Yeah, that face tells me yes. Yeah,
because like the same shit they're doing right now is what they were doing in prison in 2016 and 17, like word for word. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it just seemed like, all right, well, we're not paying attention then, so it's going to come home now.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember early 2000s being in DC, protesting the first George W. Bush presidency. And I remember thinking it can't get worse than this. And it is so much worse than this.
It gets worse.
And also, yeah. I mean, indisputably worse. And like Trump may be as unintelligent as George W. Bush, and maybe more mean-spirited, like the other thing about anarchy that I always think about, which is the exact opposite of what liberals typically believe, is humanism. People think of anarchy as chaos, as mayhem, because of the misrepresentation of that word in propaganda and every other form of TV propaganda, whatever. That's not the case. As you said, it's anti-hierarchical. No one should be above someone else. You talked about today's micro level mutual aid networks, the growth of, we're seeing all over the country, whether it's tracking ICE, blocking ICE, feeding, communities, setting up their own healthcare systems. What is the relationship between anarchy or anarchism and the way you're describing this microcosm, the way certain communities are starting to live within this fascist macro situation?
Yeah. So jumping into that, firstly, I think we do an immense disservice to ourselves by playing off the fascists as just like idiots. Like, oh, he's so dumb. That's what the media fed us, that crap. Like, oh, look how dumb he is. He's a big goof. Meanwhile, bro is getting ready to send in gosh damn National Guard to destroy marginalized communities. So no, let's not. These idiots want us to think he's just a silly boy. He is not a silly boy. Uh, he's they know what they're doing. But as far as the mutual aid stuff, like that's the tenets of anarchism are built on that we have like give what you have, take what you need, but like we are a community together, and you can decide where you want to put your spoons, like what means the most to you. You don't have to be everything to everyone, but you can give yourself, and you should give what you can to your community because you would want that back to you. That's mutual aid. I share with you what I have, you share with me what you have, whether it's skills, resources, talents, and then we
Time.
develop that way as opposed to exploiting and commodifying each other.
Yeah, beautifully said. And that's why, you know, we were on a panel recently, earlier in October 2025, and of all the people, you got me the most heated, which is hilarious because you and I were probably, and Scott Campbell were probably the most similar. And the reason is because I felt like I needed to defend abolition for all abolitionists everywhere. And what we discovered, at least what I felt like came out of that, was again this humanism is and mutual aid and community defense. These are integral to both, and so I think they work interchangeably almost. And as so many people have said, you can't say ACAB and be pro-capitalism. You can't be an abolitionist and be pro-capitalism because the prison industrial complex and the military industrial complex integral to that capitalist system and inextricably connected.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better. Yes.
Oh. Well, thank you. Your opinion means the world to me. So tell me what you're doing these days, other than showing up on panels, doing interviews, which, by the way, is a form of activism. You are spreading a critically important message at a critically important time. But tell me, what's your day-to-day like? What other work that you can share behind the scenes or public that's keeping you busy and helping our society today?
Yeah, and I do see value in like because I have to be so above ground right now because I am so like I'm on federal probation. So like if all I can do is at least like try to get people to give a shit about prisoners for half a second, then that's good enough for me. My day to day, I'm a paralegal. So my day to day is like I'm literally working on people's. You can't see my office. I got 4 screens up right now, working on people's defense cases to try to keep homies out of prison.
I love that.
So and it's all people that can't afford private lawyers. So I work for like those organizations. And that's my day to day because you got to put if your ethics aren't in action, then they aren't your ethics. They're your talking points.
Totally.
And I don't have time for that bullshit for 1 second. I don't know if
I love that.
But.
I hear, I mean, probably not, but whatever. So to that point, actually, the timing was perfect. There's this like vibe, both in abolitionist circles and in anarchist circles, and maybe even in like workers' rights, like union, which is so antithetical, that people like me should do everything for free. To that point, I've had a lot of formerly incarcerated people in the past tell me the reason I trust you, and typically not other people who, tend to look like you, have the privilege that you do, is because you aren't earning a profit. I know for sure that you are doing this out of the goodness of your heart. But then as time changed, or as time went on, and it became harder and harder for me to earn a living, even doing this type of work that you're doing, it turned into a critically important way for me to keep my home, keep my kids fed, and have access to healthcare. So, I don't have insurance through my work, but the reason you asked about cursing is because I'm trying to earn an income talking to people who, are anti-capitalist like me. So we're going to do the best we can. And that's what I say to my wife. She's a nurse. What she does is also super important. And I do the best that I can in this crazy world with a crazy mind, and
we also all exist within capitalism. Like, you didn't develop this system, you still have to feed your kids, you still got to eat. So like, as long as you're earning a living without exploiting others, like, there's no qualms in like someone having to work hard or having to do what it takes to make money. You got to eat.
I'm really glad to hear you say that. I think people in our community look up to you, and that is really important. Oh, yeah. You're very modest. I appreciate that about you too. But listen, I know about freeganism, right? And obviously so do you. And
Yeah.
I'm not against that at all. Like, vegans who eat meat out of garbage cans because the animal's already been killed, the food's been wasted. That's not a conflict at all to me. But not everyone can live that way. And if you have 2 kids, you gotta shelter and things, you do need to find opportunities to do different things, right? I spent all those years on the streets, and then I met my wife, who had 2 young daughters, and that was it. No longer was that going to be my method of activism, like direct action and the type of stuff that got you put away. So on that note, let's get there. Let's talk about it as much as you're comfortable sharing. You've had a little bit more time to reflect. You've been doing interviews since the second you got out. Your story it's true. It's there's a reason for it. It's not even just what you did, it's what it stood for. It's what the amount of time you got. It reminds me of Jessica Resnicek, just because of the time and how completely inappropriate it is according to the action. And just for the record, I don't believe in prisons at all. And I've spent a lot of time on transitional services, working in not supermax, but in maximum security prisons, as well as outside. And one of the coolest things that they do is what you're doing. So I just want to commend you again for the work that you're doing, trying to keep other people out of prison. Very important. Now, tell me what you did. Tell me what it was like in prison, and tell me what it's like coming out. Because one story that is told over and over again is how hard it is to find work, to get to all of your probation appearances, to adhere to all the insane rules that are applied to people who are formerly incarcerated.
Yeah. So just bouncing real quick before I answer that, I really wish Jessica had taken a different approach and not gone with the I'm going to intentionally get arrested approach. I think that is a bad tactic that the Catholic workers do sometimes. And I don't think it serves the movement or the community well to just serve up martyrs for the pigs to butcher. I think she could have done really, really great stuff. She's obviously got an immense heart. And I just wish their tactic was different. Like, make the feds do their job. Make them find you. We don't need to turn ourselves over for ethical statements. But that's just a personality thing. All love and respect to Jessica.
Totally.
But yeah,
I'm with you. It makes sense.
Yeah. Prison sucks. I hate it. Getting out of prison is even more hard because you don't always have the resources available. I was very blessed that as an active member of the anarchist community, my people look out for me. I had lots of support getting out, but things like mental health care are often left on the side when it comes to folks being released. We forget that they have trauma. We forget that they have immense triggers. We forget that they're going to make mistakes, that they are going to have paranoias, angers, fears. And we do this stuff. We tone shame them. We anger shame them. We action shame them, as opposed to having open hearts and open minds that someone might just need time to heal, to get stuff off of them, to develop as a human again. And so for me, having access to that has been the best ticket, that and mental health medicine, so I don't effing lose it on every single person that makes me mad. I've been getting tone policed all week, by the way, people trying to hit me up saying, I don't like what you're saying, as opposed to like going after the things that I'm talking about. Like, you don't like that.
I got some of that. Right. I got some of that. What did he just say on that panel? You booked that guy? Yes, I did. And like,
you're going to get mad at me for calling out people for being dangerous, but not get mad about the dangerous behaviors. Shut up. Shut up. Like, I've been fighting Nazis for 10 straight years. You want to talk to me about words? Go to hell. I hate these.
And when you say that, you mean literally.
Yeah.
Not just figuratively.
Yeah, these dudes aren't playing inside. You're not going to have like little debates. Like, I don't like your ethics, mister. I'm not doing that. You better boot up. So when I get out and I see this, like, this almost like anarcho, how do I say this without sounding macho? weakness, softness, to where like now we can't engage with each other, and like I can't critique you, I can't be angry with you. And in my mind, that lifts us up. It encourages us to be better. If I tell you like, bro, you're really doing this and it's slimy, that gives you a chance to either do better or call me out or tell me to shut up.
Totally.
But instead
we need to hold each other accountable.
Yeah, and that includes calling out bad behavior. That includes being honest with each other. And that's something I don't want to say I miss from prison, but that's something I'm glad I brought home with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, prison sucks. Don't go to prison.
Don't go to prison. And so many lessons just from going there in the capacity that I did, you know, sitting down and meeting with people, you know, my experience, everyone who knew I was doing this was like, aren't you afraid? They're killers. Well, actually, most of them aren't. The vast majority of people there are for nonviolent offenses to begin with. But
and even if they are there for violent offenses, so what?
Exactly. Irrelevant is what I was about to say. Yeah, we're on the same page as usual. But like, no, that's not what happened. They were amazing. If anything, they were protective. They hugged me. What wasn't safe was when I needed to go to the bathroom and the guard sent me in the wrong direction intentionally. They're the problem. So, yeah, exactly. On that note, you know, my old show, the Awkward Interviews, very impressive branding there, very creative. Those shows were an hour long, and I don't think that's the move anymore. I'm trying to keep these short. I could talk to you forever, but I can't for that purpose. So let's close with something that I don't ask you. What's on your mind right now? What do you want my audience to know? And again, my audience is partially anarchist, very abolitionist at this point, but also a ton of liberals who are the most well-intentioned people in the world, I feel like, but are so misinformed most of the time. And particularly about the intricate details, particularly about people like us, particularly about the methods of praxis that are effective.
So two things that I'll close with. One, whenever we hear the term nonviolent offenders, liberals, I hope you realize that is a government term to describe men and women who were not taught impulse control, who were not taught how to manage difficult emotions, who were not given the love and support they needed as children. That is a failing of capitalism. That is because these people's parents had to commodify themselves as opposed to giving their kids the education, love, and mental health care they needed. That's us failing them, not them failing the society. But secondly, please don't let our enemies control the narrative. Please don't let CNN, Fox News, the government control how you feel about migrants or immigrants or Antifa. These are government terms used to divide us so that we're paying attention instead to what are they doing as opposed to what the hell are they doing? Like those are terms meant to divide us and crush us so that we're bickering with each other and trying to make excuses for the government's bad behavior. There's no such thing as a bad Antifa. There's no such thing as a bad migrant. What there is bad fascists. And do not let the people that hate you determine how you view others. Their terminology cannot be how you view the world. Love and respect.
As we say in hip hop, kill. Well said, man. That was beautiful. I appreciate you coming on. And if I wasn't booked through 2027, I would tell you you can come back over and over and over. I will say that if anything comes up, and we need to get a certain message out there, God forbid they target you again in a really direct way, I'm here for you.
Let these liberals know if they ever want to debate, I'm available on any platform ever.
Actually, that too. Please, you're making a mistake preaching to the choir, yelling or screaming into the void, the vacuum, whatever you want to call it.
Where are they?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be my show. It should be their show, where they're exploring and expanding their minds. So that is a challenge to any of you who are watching and have your own show. Invite Eric, and if you need me to connect you, will do.
Appreciate it,
On
bud.
that note, yeah, happy Halloween.
Peace. Peace.
War is immoral. Poverty is immoral. Racism is immoral. Police brutality is immoral. Oppression is immoral. Genocide is immoral. Imperialism is immoral. This country represents all those things. All those things. All those things.